so much. Thank you. Barbara, thank you so much for those overly generous words. Mark Twain once said when he was introduced with a lot of effusive praise, he turned to the person who had introduced him and said, "Madam, you'll go to heaven for your generosity, unless you go elsewhere for your exaggeration." But it was wonderful, and I thank you so much for all your kind words, Barbara. Thank you. I love Barbara Mikulski for so many reasons. She's a fighter. I know her background, how she came up. There is just no one who fights harder for not only her constituents, but her constituents are not just the people of Maryland, or before when she was in the House, the people of Baltimore. So I've always said that, when you get sworn in to the Senate, you get sworn in as a United States Senator. Not as a Maryland Senator, not as an Iowa Senator, but as a U.S. Senator. Certainly your first obligation are to your constituents. But every vote you cast affects every person in this country. And so the one thing I've always admired about Barbara Mikulski is she gets it. Boy, does she take care of her constituents, no doubt about that. But her constituents are writ large, all over this country. I've often thought that Barbara fights for those that don't have a lot of power. I guess I've always thought that Barbara fights what I call the least, the lost, and the left out. The people that don't have other voices for them and can't fight for them. And so that's why, as I leave the Senate and the Appropriations Committee, and I can leave with, I think, some satisfaction in knowing that you're in good hands. All of you in this community, you're in good hands. You remember that advertisement for Allstate Insurance, the hands? You're in good hands with Allstate. Well, I can tell you, this community, the complementary, alternative, integrative health community, you're in good hands with Barbara Mikulski. And so, sure, I'm going to miss it. I love the Senate. I love my job. I love the work. But I just felt after 30 years in the Senate, 10 in the House, it was time to move on. And now I'll be joining all of you. But, and I'll still continue. I want you all to know that Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa has started a Harkin Institute of Public Policy. Drake. And we have a really good board of directors. In fact, the former chair of the Iowa Republican Party is on our board. Yes. He probably wouldn't be elected chair today after that, but I don't know. And we have a great director, and the former Chief Justice of the Iowa Supreme Court is our director. And so we're establishing speakers bureaus and things like that at the Institute. But there are 2 or 3 things that I really want to work with that Institute on. One, of course, as Barbara mentioned, is the issue of disability policy, accessibility, employment of people with disabilities. The other one that I've spent most of my life in the Senate working on is this issue of, well, I wouldn't just say complementary alternative medicine. The idea that we need to change our system so that we change from a sick care system to a health care system. Not just one that answers your need when you get acute or chronic illness, but how do we focus on keeping people healthy? Well, I can tell you that perhaps one of the major roles for complementary medicine, or alternative medicine, whatever you want, integrative health, whether it's acupuncture, naturopathic, health care, massage therapy, I can tell you, that's where I see you fitting in, keeping people healthy, keeping people out of the hospital in the first place, keeping people from getting chronic illnesses. that only costs them a lot of money and their health, but cost our society a lot of money. So one of the things I want the Institute to work on is just that concept of in the Affordable Care Act, how do we continue to promote prevention and wellness and integrative health? And so I hope that I can call on some of you to come out and maybe be a part of our Speakers Bureau. Wayne Jonas, I'm looking at you, and others to come out and be a part of that institute, because I really wanted to keep the focus on that one area. Now, I mentioned Berkeley Bedell. Berk's right. We both ran, we both lost. And that's what Wayne said. Ruth is the only person who's never lost an election. I ran for Congress in 1972, and Ruth ran for county attorney in Iowa, and the better politician won. I'll give you a hint, it wasn't me. At that time, Ruth was the only female, now not the first, because his mother, Berkeley Bedell's mother, back in World War II, was the first woman county attorney in Iowa. His mother, Ruth, was the second. After all those years. But she was the only woman county attorney in the state of Iowa at that time. And in our courthouse, the only Democrat in the courthouse. And so I lost that election. And so she went on to serve county attorney. And I decided to run again same year with Berkeley in 1974. And a lot of people were saying, well, you know, if she's that good, he can't be all that bad. So as I say, I wrote her skirt tails in my office. I remember, now I didn't know hoot about integrative medicine, complementary medicine. I had no idea. Until I went to the Senate, and Berk Bedell retired from the House. And he retired from the House because he was ill. And Berk's heard me tell this story, and it is so true. I saw Berk once in 1987, and he was in the Hart building, where my office was, in the Senate. Now, I've been in the Senate, a whole year, I guess. And Berk came to see me. I remember it was a kind of a cold, gray winter day, and I went home that night, and I said to Ruth, I think I've seen Berkeley maybe for the last time. He just looked terrible. He was gaunt, pale, kind of sallow. He had a coat on him that looked like it was about 10 sizes too big for his frame. And I just felt so sorry for him. And I really did. I thought, gee, Berkeley's gone. Well, some time passed. We kind of kept a little correspondence up. Berkeley told me he was going to Canada to seek some treatment for that, and he was trying a new experimental treatment for his Lyme's disease, which I thought sounded kind of, well, odd, to tell you the truth. About a year later, I hadn't seen, no, we kind of kept our correspondence up a little bit, and we didn't have Blackberries and stuff at that time. Kept the correspondence up. And I felt any day now I would get this notice about Berkeley. About a year goes by, a year or so goes, yeah, a little over a year goes by. I see Berkeley again. I can't believe it. He looks great. His health is back. He's bouncing around like the old Berkeley Bedell that we know. I said, tell me about this. And so he told me about the treatment that he'd gotten. I still can't talk about it. I don't want to get the guy in trouble. But anyway, what he had done for his Lyme's disease and what he'd done for his cancer. And he just looked like he looked like $1 million. So then he told us, this is like 88, maybe late 88, early 89. And then he goes on to tell me that no one at NIH is doing anything. No one's looking at all these other things that are going on out there. I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And then he lined me up with a guy by the name of Roy Brown. I was having terrible allergies. He said, oh, you don't have to take allergy shots. I didn't want to. And so he lined me up with this guy who came and got me on a regimen of bee pollen. I won't go through the whole thing, but got me on a regimen of bee pollen, and my allergies cleared up. I said, that's Berkeley Bedell, he's on to something. And so because of that, because of our friendship and seeing him and talking to him about this, that's what led in 1991 to my starting the Office of Alternative Medicine at NIH. So Berkeley Vidal is the genesis of all of this because of what he did. I was 87, look at him now. I know, he's in his 90s someplace, but you'd never guess it. So we've had a lot of enjoyable times together fishing. You know, Berkeley started the Berkeley Fishing Tackle Company a long time ago, tying his little flies together, built it into the largest fishing tackle company in the world, the Berkeley Company. And so, well, I'll tell this little joke. I'm not much of a fisherman. So Berkeley and I, sometimes he'd come over, we'd go fishing with my two daughters who were little then. And they'd go out and we'd go out fishing. And Bert always, I don't know why, he could always catch a fish. I'd go in the same place. He caught a fish, I couldn't forget it. So I'd always, when he was gone, then I'd try to take my daughters fishing, and they'd always say, Dad, why can't you fish like Mr. Vidal? I said, I don't know, I just never knew how to do all that stuff. But anyway, as you can see, a great fondness, a great love for my good friend Berkeley, who got me started on this and opened my mind as to the fact that there were other ways of treating illnesses than just allopathic medicine. So I'm forever, ever, ever grateful to him for that. I also want to thank again Barbara for us working together on the Affordable Care Act on quality and prevention. The good news is that out of that, we now have, for prevention, you know, you get your free checkups every year, you can get your colonoscopies, you can get your cancer screening, you can get your cholesterol screening with no co-pays and no deductibles. But what hasn't been talked about much is that there's a prevention fund now administered mostly by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention of $1 billion a year. $1 billion a year goes out to communities for grants, for community wellness programs to get people involved in changing their environment so that people can lead healthier lives and prevent acute and chronic illnesses. So that's in there. So my idea was always we've got to get off of a sick care system into a wellness society for prevention and wellness, keeping people healthy. And I hope that prevention fund will have a lot to do in that regard. So it's been a long struggle. I might also mention that I've always been interested in making sure that kids get healthy starts. Yeah. So I became chairman of the Ag Committee in 2002, and I started a program. I had an idea. I said, you know, kids need more fresh fruits and vegetables. And they said, yeah, well, we have a vending machine. We always have an apple or an orange in the vending machine at school. You know, you give a kid 50 cents or $1, what do they put in those vending machines? They're never going to buy an apple, buy candy or something like that. So I took $5 million, just like I did for OAM, and started a project in 4 states, 100 schools, 25 schools in each state of 4 states, to give free fresh fruits and vegetables to kids, free. Not in the lunchroom, but as a snack in the morning when they get the growlies, or in the afternoon, or even on the bus when they're busing to school. And we had some problems keeping it going, but we kept it alive for a few years. The Bush administration was not too hot on it. But then I became chairman again in 2008, and we took that program and expanded it. So what started out as a $5 million program is now $150 million a year that goes out to schools all over America so that kids in our inner cities, and especially poor kids, can get free fresh fruits and vegetables every day they're in school. So this whole idea of keeping people healthy and well. We started the Office of Alternative Medicine, became the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine. Dr. Briggs has headed that for quite a few years now, with great success. But Barbara said this tonight, we changed the name because if I could have turned the clock back, we would have started where we are right now with the name, to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. To integrate it in, not as something outside, but to integrate it in all of our health. In fact, in another week, I'm going down to Tucson, to the University of Arizona, to Andy Weil's Institute, for the graduation class down there, for residencies, where they're sponsoring residencies for MDs in alternative and integrative health. And so they get residencies doing this. And that is another area that I think we ought to be focusing on, getting young doctors that are going out to do their residency to do it in integrative health. So that's really sort of where I'm headed with the Institute. Ruth said, now be sure and don't talk long because you know people haven't eaten yet. So I would just sum it up by saying thank you all very much. I don't know each of you personally. A lot of you I do know personally. Gosh, Joe Perzorno, I've been out to Bastille with Joe. I don't know where he is, but I know he's here someplace. Over here a long time ago. And that got me involved and interested in naturopathic health. And we've got to get more states to pass their laws to let naturopaths do their job in all these states. And things have been said about 2706. Look, we're on top of this. I've spoken to OMB, I've spoken to the White House, and then I said, look, we wrote it. You know, rules and regulations are supposed to follow what our intent is. And I know what my intent is, and here's what it is. So I'm telling you, it's going to be fine. We're going to take care of it, and the rule and the regulation will fit exactly what we want it to be. So I thank you all so much for pioneers. You're a lot of pioneers here, and young people too. I'm just glad to see so many young people here, and their interest in this area. And we're going to count on you to carry this forward. But I may be retiring from the Senate, but I'm not retiring from the fight. I'm not retiring. It's often been said, I'll close this, it's said, you know, one of the good things about being a senator is you got a lot of things on your plate. You get a lot of things to deal with. It's also been said, one of the bad things about being a senator is you got a lot of things on your plate to deal with. So I'm going to narrow it down. I've got a few things that I feel very passionately about in our country that I want to work on. I want to narrow it down and focus on that. And this is one area, thanks to Berkeley Bedell, my dear friend, that got me involved in this so many years ago. And I've seen it blossom. I've seen it come of age. I've seen all the new things that are happening with integrative health. And even now, even allopathic medicine are saying, yes, we need something else. We need to integrate new thoughts, new ideas into this, into our medicine. So that's one area that I will continue to be with you on, and to the extent that any of you are interested in coming out and speaking or having a symposium at the Harkin Institute at Drake University, I guarantee we will not have it in January or February. It's not as bad as Minnesota, but it's pretty close. But, so thank you all very much for all the nice words. Thank you for listening. What's that all about? You know, I know sign language because of my brother, and this is the sign. It's made up of 3 letters: I, L, and Y. And when a deaf person does it, it means I love you.